welcome Ray.
We live on the outskirts of Crown Heights, Brooklyn, the center of Chabad Lubavitch, the Shechina. I'm on the precipice of my bat mitzvah. On my 12th birthday, I'm going to become a grown woman. Any sins I commit will now be my responsibility instead of my parents. My best friend G has started talking to boys. That means I've started talking to boys. Sin number one that I have to take responsibility for. Check. I'm the second to youngest of 10 children. I go to sleep every night to the sound of the washing machine running. My mom tells me that the noise will help me sleep, but it's not loud enough to drown out the sound of my parents yelling at each other. They do this every night. Sometimes about money, sometimes about each other. Sometimes a fight includes one of my older siblings and involves hitting and scratching and someone being pulled by the hair. In school, I'm not taught about domestic abuse and childhood trauma, only that I need to be happy and do mitzvahs so that I can make Hashem, the Rebbe, and my parents proud and bring Mashiach now. I'm allowed to feel sad, but only when it's deemed appropriate, like waiting for Mashiach on fast days and yard sites of our fallen Rebbes. As a so-called girl child, my life is predetermined. I'm to behave in a modest fashion and keep my elbows and knees and collarbone covered at all times. I'm to help with the cooking and keeping the house clean, so my brother and fathers can have a comfortable environment to learn in. The only way I'm going to leave my parents' house is when I marry an eligible bacher. But I'm 12 and I want out now. So when G starts talking to boys, I figured this is the only way I can get a head start on the whole marriage thing. The only problem is I don't really like boys. I may have gotten my period already, but I guess I'm still missing the hormones necessary to convince me that kissing or even holding hands with a boy is appealing. But G is doing it, so that means I'm doing it. I get paired off with a friend of the boy that she's seeing. Thankfully, he's shy and our relationship consists of holding sweaty hands and meeting for walks where our parents won't see us. I only keep dating him because it keeps me and G close. My friendship with G is everything. She's my next door neighbor. I don't invite anyone else from school to my house. I make excuses. I tell them we have a dog who doesn't like strangers. I don't want anyone to find out I live in an unhappy home, but G is always there. She knows my parents fight. She's witnessed it many times. She always sits with me quietly until my mother asks her to leave. My mother doesn't want to feel the eyes of a child she didn't birth witnessing her breakdown. We cement our friendship in our shared secret of boys and skipping school. It's a dangerous game to play in Crown Heights. The walls have ears and every mother is a yenta. The day after Passover break in 7th grade, G and I decide we aren't ready to go back to school and instead spend the day wandering the Kings Plaza Mall. We go to Old Navy and try on jeans in the dressing room and dream about a day when we can wear them for real. The next day, I'm called out of class and asked to go to the principal's office over the loudspeaker. When I get there, I find G sitting in a purple vinyl chair with armrests, trapped in front of Mrs. Jacobson and Mrs. Altheim. I take the seat to the left of her. What were you doing at the mall? Do you really think it's a good idea to be spending your time with this shtuss? This is the kind of thing that always leads to talking to boys and smoking cigarettes. Do you want to do those things? I sit there, my hands in my lap and my eyes in my hands. When my mom finds out, she tries to be nice about it. She takes me out for bagels. She's more concerned about how it reflects on her parenting than what it means for me to be a child who's missed 60% of the 7th grade. I wonder how your friend is doing, she says. I bet her mom isn't being so understanding. She's right. G is sent to Florida to live with her sister and go to school there, to be away from me and my influence. With the threat of losing her, I panic. It feels like an earthquake, like the land I'm standing on has detached from everything around it, and I'm floating in the Atlantic somewhere. Despite the effort to keep us apart, distance makes the heart grow fonder, and we become even more codependent. We reunite when we're 15. She's been kicked out of the school in Florida for using a straightening iron on Shabbos and returns to Brooklyn. In 10th grade, I drop out of school too, and together we start taking GED classes. Now that she's back, I do all I can to keep her. If there's an argument, I take her side without question. A choice to be made? Well, what's her preference? When I turn 18, we get matching tattoos of the coordinates of our houses and a year later of the actual houses. I abandon myself so I can hold on to her. And we need to hold on to each other so we can both get out. Her slow trajectory out of the community is like a counterbalance to my chaotic rocket launch. But together, we begin to discover a subpopulation of people who have also left ultra-Orthodox backgrounds, commonly known as OTD, which means off the derech or off the path. As a unit, we begin to make new friends. We even combine our names into one because people started using our names interchangeably. I begin to feel suffocated by our closeness. It's like the gravitational force we shared can only exist if I don't expand. I start to intentionally build relationships with new people and unintentionally pull away from her. In 2018, I get a job at the community organization we're part of that's for OTD people. One day, she comes to help me set up for an event. We decide to grab a drink in the neighborhood. The organization is based in the financial district in Manhattan, so people won't be easily spotted going in and out of the building as they would be in Brooklyn. We sit on the edge of our seats, sipping margaritas. She says, I'm feeling sad that we aren't best friends anymore. We're just friends now. I instinctively deny it. There's no way I could exist without being intertwined with her, but she's right. A few months after that, we stopped talking. I sometimes look at the tattoos we share with a feeling similar to regret, but closer to a calm sadness. In those moments, I do my best to find a reason to be grateful for her. I was a really unhappy kid. Without her, I don't think I would be where I am today. And yet, here I am today without her.
Mm.